Hello and welcome to Super OK, where we try to do a decent enough job to entertain people with our opinions on video games. As always, my name is Dale, and I'm joined here by the effervescent Melephant. Mel, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing super great. I'm so happy it's the weekend, but I'm also not super happy that there was snow outside.
Yeah, it was very confusing. It was like an ambush.
Yeah, I agree. It was weird all around. It was like ice storm on Wednesday. Oh, then everything's going to melt. Then snow. What?
Yeah, I hate it. I deeply hate it. To answer your question, though, I'm doing quite well. I retained power and just had a pretty good week, actually. A pretty good week.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
That reminds me, we should talk about the highlight of the week since we're going to be talking about how great your week is.
Oh, great call. It's almost as if you've done this before.
Oh,
so for those of you who are just listening, if this is your first episode, every week we do a highlight of the week, which is just a thing that made our week a little bit better, a little bit brighter, a little bit nicer to live in. And I'm going to go first because I already kind of alluded to it. But The Midwest was covered in a thin layer of ice this past week. And a large chunk of that was huge pieces of trees falling off and destroying vital human infrastructure. Yeah. The trees are against us. And so there were just like huge areas. I want to say it was something like 800,000 houses were without power. Some of them still are without power. We did not lose our power. And I'm not saying that to gloat, but I am instead saying that to provide context for the fact that my brother-in-law, Daniel, and sister-in-law Autumn did lose power, and so they came and stayed with us, and they came and stayed Thursday night, and they brought their dog Lacey, and they brought my nibblings Elodie and Ailey, and it was just a true delight to have them here. And it was great to like wake up and like have Lacey like looking at us and like get to like hug and kiss the kids good night before they went to bed. Yeah. And then like, we'd hang out all day and play games and fun stuff like that. And then the girls would go to bed and we got to hang out with Dan and Autumn. And it was just like, it was like a weird forced mini vacation. Yeah. I guarantee it was way more stressed for them than it was for us. Right. But I really enjoyed it. So it was my highlight of the week.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you're like such a great host in general. So like having all of your like family, well, some of your family members over, like must have just been such a treat for them as well. Like you're great at gatherings in general. So like it just makes sense for them to just have a nice time, even in a terrible situation that they're in. So
I hope so. I hope they did. I won't ask because I fear the answer, but I hope they did. What about you? What was your highlight?
My highlight of the week was having a surprise long weekend for President's Day. I did not know that I got President's Day off for work. And a lot of people don't. Like in my previous job, like I've never gotten President's Day off. So I found out on the Friday before the weekend, oh, by the way, like you have the day off on Monday. And I was like full-heartedly thinking that it was going to be a traditional weekend, but it ended up being a long weekend. And on Monday, I woke up like so refreshed. There were some of my teammates from a different country that had to work on Monday, like messaging me. I was like, nope, today is my day. I'm going to go do whatever it is that I want to do. And I sat on my couch and I played God of War.
That's awesome. That is amazing. I had to work on President's Day.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. But that to me it sounds like it felt like the spiritual equivalent of putting on a coat and finding money in the pocket.
Yes, absolutely. And you're just like, oh, I didn't know it was there. I didn't know this was happening, but what am I going to do with it now?
Right? Oh, man, it sounds so good. It sounds so good. How far in well, we can't talk about how far you are in God of War, but I hope that you enjoyed God of War. Yeah. I don't want to spoil it for people. It did just come out a couple months ago. So
It's true. That's true. I can tell you that I lost Atreus and now I'm trying to find him. So
Okay.
No spoilers, people get lost.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. Speaking of people who get lost, we were supposed to have other people on this episode, but it turns out that they got lost in various ways. Maybe it's health. Maybe it's they're on a road trip. Maybe they don't have power. I'm not going to tell you. It's not my story to tell. But it does mean that it's just Mel and I who are here, which means we're doing a casual episode.
Oh, yeah. Woo, 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 woo. That was my air horn.
I will never not love the DJ air horn when people do it just with their mouth. It's always good. So what we decided to do today for our casual episode is we found an article from whatculture.com, a website that I really have never gone to, but I've watched several of their videos around like wrestling. But it turns out they have a gaming section, and the gaming section had an article written by Adam Cleary, who seems like a pretty cool dude. And it was updated in June of 2021. And it is the 20 essential video games you must play before you die. And the tagline is because life's too short to play bad games. And then there's this whole intro to the article. It's a listicle because, that's what we're doing. That's like, with the icy hand of your own mortality weighing heavy on your shoulder by the day, you have to be selective about the games you scroll hurriedly onto your bucket list. And that's just a great vibe for winter in the Midwest. That's what we decided to go with. So what Mel and I are going to do, we haven't looked at this list. We are just going to go through each game. We're going to talk about if we've played it, if you should play it. If we haven't played it, are we going to, and why or why not? Mm-hmm. And then we're just going to go through it and talk about it. So without further ado, let's hit that next button down at the bottom and see what game number 20 is.
All right, here we go. Click. BioShock. Original BioShock.
Yep.
I loved this game. I've played it before, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was just enough of creepiness to like not have me be totally put off. It's not a true horror game, right? It's just very atmospheric, I guess. And the way that it immerses you into like the story, like it's very gripping. So I would say, like, for me, like, this is definitely a game I think most people should play.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. I think that there are some morality choices in this game that have consequences in the game. Like in a lot of games, it's like, do you want to do the good thing or the bad thing? And if you do and it doesn't really matter which one you do, right? And in this game, doing the bad thing makes you more powerful, right? So it's like, do you like it's a choice. It's a real choice. It's a real moral choice in like, do you want to be more powerful or do you want to do the good thing? Right. And then of the BioShock games, I think this is the best. The story is absolutely incredible. There's a thing that happens midway through that is unbelievable, and it's so good I don't want to talk about it at all. But man, this game is. I think it deserves to be on everyone's gaming bucket list.
Yeah. And I also think it's one of those games where like you can't just play once. Like you need to explore the other endings. Like you should make the choices that you didn't make previously, because it's really going to tell you more about like the world itself and like you as the players, like the main character. If I could rate this game, I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, it's up there. It's real good. The downside is you have to play it on a console. If you try and play the PC port, it will crash. It's buggy, all of that. So you have to play it on a console. But they did release a like remastered version of it recently.
Yes. So I did play it on PC. Supposedly the original is more stable than the remastered, because when I played the remastered on stream, it was like crashing every 20 minutes. And I was like, this is like such a terrible player experience. So yeah, you're right. Play it on console. Don't play it on PC. Do yourself a favor.
Yep. All right. Moving right along. Number 19. Click. Tomb Raider.
Like OG Tomb Raider? Because I've never played this game.
It's OG Tomb Raider. It's the 1996 Tomb Raider. I don't think this would be on my bucket list. I played this game. It was fine. The controls are a little wonky.
Sure.
The graphics are pretty wonky. Like,
I mean, triangle boobs.
but even outside of that, it's like black wolves on like gray and brown backgrounds. It's like there are later Tomb Raider games that are way better than the OG Tomb Raider. I would not put this on my bucket list. And I did play this on PC back when it came out.
Dang. So is that one of the things, like, this particular game doesn't necessarily hold up to modern games in general, and that's why it's a game that you should not play before you die?
I'm saying I didn't like it back in 1996.
Oh.
I'm not even looking back at it. I'm saying in 1996, I was like, this is too difficult to play. This is it also was the first game where it was like, oh, you're exploring a tomb. It was the first game I played, at least, where, oh, you're exploring a tomb and you find a new gun. Why are there guns in this like that sort of shit, you know?
Right. Yeah.
It had underwater sections that were like real wonky, and like the timing was like too precise, and it was just like not fun to play back then. And maybe that's just like I was too young for it. Maybe it's a subjective thing, but this would not go on my bucket list.
That's fair. I wouldn't say that like the original Tomb Raider would be on my bucket list, but like I think as a person who plays video games, you should play a Tomb Raider. I think that there's like some significance to like why like this particular series is a great series. It's probably one of the first female protagonists that you can play as in a video game. Who's like super fucking badass, just unfortunately like over sexualized. Have you played Tomb Raider games before?
Yeah, I mean, outside of this one, I played the like more recent Tomb Raider stuff. You know, like the Shadow of the Tomb Raider, like all of those.
Sure.
I didn't play every one of them,
right?
But I played, I want to say, the first one, right?
Okay.
That came out like of the modern era, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It was a lot like Uncharted, you know.
Yeah,
but that's a good thing. If you're going to emulate a game, Uncharted is a fine game to emulate. And Lara Croft, like seeing her not as a like grizzled badass yet was a pretty cool thing. So,
would you say that this particular series in general is something that people should play? Because I would say yes.
I think you should play one of this style of game. Right. I don't know that you have to play every Tomb Raider, but you should try a Tomb Raider or an Uncharted, or there's a bunch of games that fit this mold for me.
Right.
I would like, if you're going to do it, play the more modern ones. Don't play the OG ones.
I agree.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
So, are you going to go back and play this now that it's on this list?
Not the 1996 version of it. Heck no. I feel like for me, like I've played one Tomb Raider game already. I don't have the urge to play any more of them. I don't remember which like Tomb Raider it was, but the one where like they had like trailers of just Lara Croft just like dying in like very cruel and unusual ways. Like I thought was interesting, but like I was kind of like, okay, like I've seen it on videos. Like I don't need to experience it. So I'll just like pass on most Tomb Raider games.
Yeah. That's kind of how I am. It's like you play one, you've played them.
Right, exactly.
But if you're the type of person who really loves it, maybe you're going to play every one of them.
Go for it.
And so it's worth trying one, is what I was going to say.
But it being an essential video game, I'm going to have to like straight up like Japanese X that with my hands. No. Pass.
It's an audio medium, but she was doing it. So confirm. All right, let's move on. Click. StarCraft.
Ooh, yes, absolutely yes. And I will say that you should do it for the story. Like if anything, do it for the story. I thought that the StarCraft series in general was fantastic. I think RTSs, and I think that we've discussed it before, is kind of like a dead genre in general, but like there's so many good things about this game. Like I could so good. It's so good. It's just like nostalgic for me as well.
Yeah.
Maybe this is hitting a different core of essential games for me.
No, I mean, I think that makes sense. And it's funny that you brought up the story because I like other RTSs better than I like StarCraft, right?
Right.
I was a Command and Conquer kid. I really love Age of Empires,
Yeah.
but none of them have the story that StarCraft has.
So true. Yeah. Even Warcraft too. Like Blizzard did this right back in like the late 90s. Like whatever they did for real-time strategies and story crafting was just unbelievable. Like it wasn't just like, oh, here's a set of, people, build buildings, create, soldiers and go fight stuff. It was like exploring and finding stuff, and then like, how does this particular item relate to this character or like the enemy team? Like it was good. It was really good.
Now here's the really tough question. If you're making your bucket list, does StarCraft go on it or does StarCraft 2?
I think the original StarCraft goes on it. Did StarCraft have a like an expansion?
I think it
They had
did.
like a battle chest, didn't they? Or am I thinking about like Warcraft?
Well, they had a battle chest for StarCraft for sure, but I can't remember if the expansion was for StarCraft 1 or 2. Doing a quick Google.
Yeah. The original StarCraft by itself was just so good. Like the ending of that game, I was just like, holy shit. Like, I mean, StarCraft 2 was good,
Brood War.
Brood War, yeah.
Brood
so,
War.
Okay, StarCraft and Brood War, you have to play those two together. Like, there's the story in just those two. I remember just being like mind-blowingly good.
Yeah. And then StarCraft 2 had Heart of the Swarm.
Right.
So
I remember playing that, but I don't remember like the story didn't necessarily capture me as much as the original StarCraft did.
yeah, that's fair. That's definitely fair. But yeah, play StarCraft.
Definitely. Essential video games, for sure. Just for the story itself.
All right, let's move on. Click.
Boop.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Yo. All right, I want your thoughts first. You have thoughts. You have feelings.
I have so many thoughts. It's interesting that they called out 2 specifically.
Right.
Because, oh man, 2 is a great game. 2 is probably the game I played the most of, but I don't know that it was the perfect one. I honestly think that 3 might have been the perfect from like a gameplay perspective, from what you could do, like the ability to do like reverts and that sort of stuff that really mattered, like the combo chaining and all of that. I think I enjoyed the gameplay, only the gameplay of 3 the most.
Okay.
It's funny that this is on here because with Daniel being here, we just booted up Tony Hawk PlayStation or Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 on the PS5, like the remastered version.
Oh, dang. Yeah.
And I went through and looked at all of the different levels, and 2 has some good levels. Like the hangar is pretty good. School 2 is pretty good. But there's not a level in there where it's like, oh man, this one. Whereas like 1 had the warehouse. There's the bull ring in the later ones. Like they're like Burnside. Like there's some awesome levels, and the levels in 2 were like okay, but not like, oh my god, I have to do it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, like, I can see why they didn't pick Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, right? Because that was like the first iteration. 2 allowed you to like build upon what 1 had. And I think they did it in a very just unique way, because now that they figured out like what the bread and butter was, they were like, okay, let's add some more sides to it. And for me, 3 was one of those games where it was just like almost too much for me. And it to be quite frank, I don't remember playing 3 as much. I think 2 was where my heart really lies, because it was 1, but it was better than 1. You know what I mean?
I get that. Too much spice can ruin the stew or whatever.
It's true.
I'm with you.
But you're like a when you play skating games, like you really play skating games. Like you love the idea of like just the skating genre in general, right?
Yeah, 100%. So the freedom that 3 afforded me with like the ability of doing reverts and that sort of thing was like it was big. It also let you do like some freestyle stuff for the first time, which I actually love to do in real life. I'm not good at it, but the shit where like you turn the board sideways and you're standing on the wheels and then you do like a handstand, like that was all in 3 and it wasn't in 2. And so I really like that too.
Yeah. I'm not. See, I guess I'm like not a skating nerd, so like this was just enough for me.
Yep. No, I get it.
Yeah, anything more would have just been like, oh, this is too much. This is like too complex.
Yeah. And I definitely agree with the fact that it needs to be from one of the first 4, whichever one you decide to pick, because those are the ones where it's timed runs. Right. The ones where it stops being a timed run and you can like get off the board and it's like an open world skateboarding game. I loved them, but there was something about it where it was like the urgency of Tony Hawk wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
You know? So that's my thought. But play one of the first 4. I don't care which one. Honestly, you're probably just going to play 1 and 2 remastered because it came out and it was great. Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah. Click.
Halo. Yo, Halo is definitely a game that everybody should play. I think it just like reinvented what like first person shooters were in general. Like
100%.
And just Master Chief as a main character is so badass. He barely talks. He fucking just picks up shit and throws it, and he like murders everybody, and he's like so strong. Like, yeah, Halo for sure. Essential. Absolutely essential.
Yeah, it's funny because Master Chief does not have a lot of characterization in the first Halo, like at all. But the story still manages to be pretty damn good. And you get the sense of like, all right, Master Chief, like the way that it's funny, the way they characterize Master Chief is not through like, oh, he talks a lot and he shares his like tragic backstory. Right. It's like he survives shit that no one else is surviving.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's just such a unique way to go about character development that I really enjoy it. You should play Halo.
I think everybody would agree that like Halo is just, and the original Halo 2, like, yes, 2 is great, 3 is great for different reasons, but like you need to play the original one because it just has such a presence, you know, like it's not like any other game that you've played before. Are we clicking? Can we click? Do you have anything else to say? We should click.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just like on a rant about Halo and how much I love it.
Say click so I can click finally.
Click. We're clicking.
It's Portal.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Portal. You should play Portal.
Yes.
It's a fantastic puzzle game. It's absolutely amazing. It's made by Valve. Valve rarely misses. Play Portal. Fuck, man. Portal.
Yeah. Main character doesn't say a single word, but the dialogue in general with GLaDOS is just like super witty and hilarious. It has one of the, in my opinion, the best original songs at the end. Yes, play Portal.
It's got a real fun mid-game turn.
Oh, it does. Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah. What, you wouldn't even expect it.
Yep.
Good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Even play Portal 2. Like, if I could say this, essential video games, Portal 1 and 2 together. Like there's both of them are just fantastic.
I would agree with that actually. You can skip the Portal 2 multiplayer stuff because while it's fun, it is also like it's like overcooked levels of multiplayer where it's like if one of you isn't executing, it's just going to piss the other one right off.
Right.
But the story of Portal 2 is so amazing. Yeah, you gotta give it a shot.
I'm so happy that this one's on the list, but I'm sad it's at 15. I wish it wasn't at 15. I wish it was like a lot higher.
I don't know that these are in order. They might be, but I don't know.
This would be my like top 5.
It's up there.
Video
It's
games.
definitely up there. The Portal series.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. Click.
Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Interesting that they picked the second gen of Pokemon and not the first gen. But I see why that they picked the second one, because the first one was good, and then the second one had like more interesting Pokemon. It had it's probably one of my favorite like storylines in the Pokemon series. And I played the living shit out of Soul Silver. Even like the legendary birds are fucking sweet.
Yeah, this one's an interesting call, because they're not calling out the 1999 versions of the game. They're not calling out Gold and Silver. They're calling out the 2009 reboots of the 1999 versions of the game. I'll be honest, I did not play the reboots. I only played Gold and Silver. I really liked them. I thought the like berry system that they added was really cool. I thought the storyline, to Mel's point, was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't feel the need to play the reboot of a game I had already played. Although, I don't know, man. If they're saying that this is the definitive Pokemon that you should play, it might be worth me going back and trying it.
I mean, it's just so good. Like the acorn system that they had was just fantastic. Like you got to play a whole bunch of like more Pokemon, which was sweet. Like, yeah. Oh my god.
This might be the first one where I haven't played it, and I'm like, yeah, I might go back and do this.
I kind of want to replay it now.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many Pokemon games that came out, right? Like, and it's kind of hard to, for me at least, like, see the difference between all the more, like, modern Pokemon. I would love to kind of go back to this one.
Did you play the OG or did you play the 2009 reboot?
I played both.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and that's why, like, I kind of want to, like, play it again, because, like, I remember playing a lot of this game, but, like, I really just want to, like, immerse myself into, like, the whole entire universe again. Because I feel like this is, like, in my head, it's almost perfect for a Pokemon game. Almost.
This was the last Pokemon game that I played seriously until Sword and Shield.
Okay.
So and the 1999 version of it, right? And so, yeah, I might. I think I just want to go back and play the reboot version.
Yeah, I would love to get Kevin's opinion on this.
Yeah, I want to get everyone's opinion. If you have a favorite Pokemon that's not this one, put it in the Discord.
Do it.
All right,
click.
Let's move.
Mario Kart 8. Yo, out of all the Mario Kart games, I would say yeah, like for sure. Like if you're gonna play a Mario Kart game and you like have never played a Mario Kart before, 8's perfect. 8 has everything that you want in it.
8 does have everything. I still prefer Double Dash.
Really?
Yeah, I just love Double Dash. The idea of teaming up with someone on your kart, where it's like, all right, we're going into some crazy curves, so I need somebody with better handling, like switch. And now the person I'm playing with is controlling and I'm doing the items. Like, there's just something really cool about the franticness of like 2v2 play as opposed to 1v1v1.
Yeah.
But I agree that if you only get to play one Mario Kart, Mario Kart 8 is probably the one to play because it has so much to it.
Yes. And it has all the old maps too. So that kind of just allows you to really experience all of the previous Mario Karts without having to play all those games.
Yes.
For an essential video game, like, yes, I would say that 8 is definitely for sure it.
Yeah. The Switch version, by the way.
Right. Yeah. Not the Wii U.
Yeah.
All right.
Not much else to say. Click.
Okay, I was going to say Resident Evil 2.
My click didn't work. Hold on. Oh, I'm there. There I am.
Okay,
Resident Evil 2. You talk about this one. I never played it.
I've never played it either. Is it a game that we should play?
I don't know. Here's the thing about Resident Evil 2, right? Everybody, when I'm like, I have never played a Resident Evil, like seriously, which one should I play? Everyone has told me that 4 is the one to play. Right?
Yeah.
But what this one calls out is that it has a bigger focus on exploration and puzzle solving in Resident Evil 2. And so I don't know. Maybe it's like, maybe this is the one that's like scarier and 4 is a little more actiony, from my understanding. So I don't know.
I don't either. I mean, I feel like what people are telling you is a lot different than what people are telling me. People are like, Mel, you should play 7. And I'm like, fucking 7's scary as hell.
7 is a very different game. 7 is not, like we were talking earlier about the difference, like where there's a break in the Tony Hawk games between when they're timed and when they're untimed. 7 is the break of when they're like going a Resident Evil or a first person Resident Evil.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's fair to compare 7 to like the non first person ones,
right?
Whether it's fixed camera angle or third person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listeners, please let us know if Resident Evil 2 is something that is an essential video game for us to play, because obviously Dale and I have not played it.
Here's what I'm going to do. If somebody tells me that there is a Resident Evil from the first batch, from the first 6, that is like, oh, you have to play it. Like it's a bucket list game. You have to play it. I'll play it around Halloween this year.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
I'll play it on stream so you can see my first unfiltered opinions of it. Full transparency. I tried like 2 hours of Resident Evil 1. I hated the tank controls so much that I never picked it back up. Right. So that's where we're at.
We're clicking through. Why is it not loading for me?
My click worked. Spoiler. It's Super Smash Brothers Melee.
Interesting. Is Melee after Smash?
Like after Super Smash Brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Melee, then Brawl. Then Ultimate.
Okay. Yeah. Essential? Maybe one's more essential than Melee.
I don't know. I think it comes down to how deep you want to get into it, right? Because the thing is, the fighting game community is like, Melee is it.
Yeah.
Right? Like everybody is like Melee is the game. I liked Ultimate. I liked the original, but everybody else is like Melee. But I also I'm so casual when it comes to Super Smash. I rarely block. So I'm not worried about like wave dashing and that sort of shit. I'm just like, let me PK fire you. So I think that Melee is one of those games where if you're going to get really deep into one of them, Melee is probably the one you want to get really deep into.
They also have an from the original Super Smash, it has more of an expanded character list. And it came on GameCube, and I feel like GameCube had it right with its controllers for Melee. And I've heard that if you end up going play more professionally in the Super Smash series, everybody still wants to play with the GameCube controller because it's just done so well with the control configuration. So
yeah, there was the cool thing about the GameCube controller is you could use the C stick to smash. So you didn't have to have the perfect timing with the A button. You could just charge the C stick essentially. So it was cool. It's a good game. I don't know. It's definitely not my favorite fighting game, and I don't even think it's my favorite Super Smash game.
I think that if you want to understand more about the esports behind fighting games, for sure, this is an essential game for you.
Yes, 100%. And if you're going to play seriously, this is the one you play.
Yeah, exactly. Nope.
Yeah.
All right. I can see this being on the list. 11? Click. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare? Bruh, this is literally the epitome of my life. I played Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare from 2007 to Trying to think of like what my history was with it. It was 17, 18, 19, 20. I was like 20, 21 maybe. Yeah, and I like played this like nonstop. I played like competitively. I knew like the whole entire professional community. Like it was good. But it wasn't because of like the actual like single player that was good. I think it just like figured out the combination of all the previous Call of Duties that were all not necessarily modern. They were all like World War II-esque. And then they brought it into a more modern world. So I thought that was like very, very interesting. And then like obviously like the multiplayer that you probably can't play anymore. Community was just fantastic.
Yeah, I think from a multiplayer standpoint, this might be one of the most influential games of all time.
Yeah.
That said, to your point, I don't think it's the best single player. I think that's got to go to Modern Warfare 2. Right?
Yeah, that was a good game.
That was like the single player in that was like, oh shit, man.
Yeah.
But I think this might be one of the most influential multiplayer games of all time.
Right.
That said, I don't think you should play it now.
I agree. I don't think that this is a great Call of Duty game now.
Yeah. Which is weird that it's on the bucket. It's weird that it was so influential, but because the community was such a big part of it and other people playing it was such a big part of it, that it's fallen off because that community no longer exists.
It was also the transition from going from a World War II-esque type of game into something more modern. And I think that's why it also made it like so influential.
Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely fair. Click. Mortal Kombat, the first one.
Yes, absolutely yes. Just because it was so brutal for its time and it still holds up, man. I love playing Mortal Kombat, like even at the arcades. Like it's tragically dated, but it's just so good. It brings in all of like the 1980s like kung fu movies into something that's just like fucking brutal.
I think so. Here's the thing about the OG Mortal Kombat. It was one of the few games at the time to use like actual video footage of humans. So it's a little wonky at sometimes, right? Where it's like, it's just a guy like punching nothing and you can tell he's punching nothing. And the other person is a person reacting to getting hit by nothing. And you can tell they're reacting to getting hit by nothing. But there are a few things more fun than playing this in an arcade.
It's true.
Right. And just like, especially if there's quarters on that machine and you're like, oh man, I'm fighting to keep my spot.
Yep.
Like that's it's the best experience. If you're going to play this, you have to play it in the arcade or on the Genesis. Don't play the SNES version.
Yes. Oh, the arcade is just the best type of environment to play this game in.
It 100% is. Get like 4 or 5 friends together and go to an arcade and just find an OG Mortal Kombat and all of you like fight for supremacy. And it's going to be a blast.
And see how many people can actually get fatalities like while you're playing. It's impossible. I know. That's what I'm saying. Like it's one of those things where like play until you get one and just like witness the carnage.
So good. So
essential, good. Yes, check. Do it, yes, check.
Yep, agreed.
Oh man, we're at 9? We should move on to 8. Ready for this? Click. The Last of Us.
The Last of Us.
Oh man. Essential video games? This is a hard one.
This is a tough one, especially because we're in the middle of the TV show being out right now. And it's so in the zeitgeist that it's like, oh, man. Like people, the show has like revitalized people who are streaming this. Like my brother just streamed his playthrough of The Last of Us and he loved it. He absolutely loved it. I played this. I'm not going to lie. The gameplay wasn't for me, but the story was so good that I went and watched all the cutscenes on YouTube afterwards.
Yeah.
Right. So, it is a great story. if you can, okay, here's what I'll say, and then I'll let you talk, because you've just been like mulling this over in your brain.
Yes.
If you like stealth games and you like zombie games, this is the game for you.
Yes, I would agree. Wholeheartedly agree. If you do not like stealth games, this is a very difficult game to play, because I am that type of person that like stealthing every once in a while, like, okay, like I can do it, but like having to focus to stealth 100% of the time makes this game so difficult for me. Like understanding where I want to throw a brick to make sound so the clicker would go to that particular sound was so hard for me, because I just wanted to fucking just face blast the clicker, and that's just not possible.
100%.
It's just not possible. But like
100.
The story is just so gripping and so emotional that like it was one of those games for me where like I put myself through that torture just to see what would happen next. Like, will Joel and Ellie make it to the end? Like, what's going to happen in their adventure? Because it was just that good. And the people that you meet too, like, were just interesting. And yeah, I don't know if it's an essential video game. Like maybe you'll just get, because the TV show is doing so well and that it is very close to the game itself, you might just be able to get away with just watching the TV show.
Yeah. But it is a damn good story.
It is a really good story.
So you should, whether you choose the TV show or the game, you should experience the story.
Exactly. I would agree.
Cool. Click.
Fallout 3. Ooh, Fallout 3. I have never played it, but everybody tells me like, Mel, what are you doing? You're fucking up. Fallout 3 is amazing. But is it as good as Fallout New Vegas?
So, top secret confession time, I'll go first.
Yes.
I played New Vegas for like 8 hours or so. And then I hard locked my game to where, because you know how it's like, stay on the road when you go to Vegas. I was like, fuck that. I'm not staying on the road.
You're not going to tell me what to do.
And so I made it through the Deathclaw Valley, and I'm like running right into this town, and there's a Deathclaw on my tail. And I like, I'm like running through like a food patch, and I pick up a cabbage or something like that. And all of a sudden the whole town aggroes me.
For picking up the cabbage?
For picking up the cabbage. I stole their food.
Oh my God.
And so I run forward, and the game auto saves.
Oh no.
And the last time I had saved was before I was in the Deathclaw Valley. And I was like, I'm not doing that again. And so I stopped playing the game. So that's as far as I got in New Vegas. But I played the shit out of 3. I loved 3. I thought it was amazing. I like beat it a bunch of different times. I loved 3. I thought it was so good. So in my mind, if you were going to play one, play the one that doesn't hard lock you after stealing a cabbage. But I recognize that I'm biased here. I also thought of all of the different Fallouts, Fallout 3 by far had the best DLC. The DLC for Fallout 3 was amazing. So if you can get the Game of the Year edition where it includes all of that stuff, yes, you should be playing Fallout 3. It's so good.
All right, you sold me. I think I'm going to play it now. I think it's going to be on my backlog of like games I probably really need to play.
It's real good.
It's mentioned in the essentials. So yeah. I think the Fallout franchise in general is something that you have to play. I think that the world building that they have and the ability to immerse yourself into that world is fantastic. So in general, Fallout. Yeah. Throw in Fallout 3. Make it essential. Do it. Play it.
Yeah. As long as it's not Fallout 76. Click.
So brutal.
Half-Life 2.
Oh, man. I just watched Josh play Half-Life 2, and he loved it. It still holds up today. The physics in the game is just goofy still and great. I want to play it again. Like it's an essential game that I think that you have to play it. I honestly think that you just have to play it to understand like why Valve is the way that they are and why Half-Life 3 doesn't exist yet. It makes you question it. You watch the ending of Half-Life 2 and you're like, what? Why does it end there?
Uh-huh. Yep. Yes, I agree. Play this game.
I don't even want to talk more about it.
Nope.
It's just one of those things where like, just do it. Just do it.
Play this game.
Play this game.
Click.
Final Fantasy VII. I feel like everybody in Super OK is going to say that Final Fantasy VII is great.
Here's the thing, Mel. Them motherfuckers didn't come. It's just you and me.
It's true.
It's just you and me. And I love Final Fantasy VII. I think it's great. I don't think it's the best Final Fantasy.
Ooh, those are fighting words. Defend yourself. Why?
I much prefer 10. I think 10 was the quintessential Final Fantasy. I think the world building inside 10 was amazing. I think the story inside 10 was amazing. I am the guy who loved Blitzball, right?
Okay.
I think the characters in 10 were awesome. That said, there are few things that rival playing 7 and the moment that you're like, oh, that was a good game, I'm done, and then the world opens up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, there are a few things that rival that in a game. That sense of wonder when I realized, like, oh, I've spent this whole game and I thought the game was over inside a town, and now I realize that that's just one point on an overworld. Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know that if you play it today, you'll get that same sense of wonder.
It's true. That's very, very true. Because now you have that same sense of wonder in a lot of these open world games. But for its time, Final Fantasy VII, like when you played it, like it was fantastically written. It made you want to play more. It was overall just a very, very solid game.
Yes, but I 100% agree.
But now, if you were to play it right now, going fully blind and playing Final Fantasy VII, I don't know if it would hold up. I think that you would still be attached to the characters and what happens to some of these characters, but it just doesn't have that same feeling that makes you just like, oh, like I love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those things where there is a remake, and they are, depending on who you talk to, they've released either half of the remake or 1/3 of the remake.
Right.
And so maybe you should wait until the remake is done and play all of the remake instead. I hear that it fleshes out the story a lot. I am waiting. I haven't played the remake at all. I own it. They gave it away to us for free. I haven't played it. Right. So I don't know. I don't know what to do about this one. You should play a Final Fantasy game. There's no question about that. Final Fantasy VII, if you're going to play a Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy VII is not a bad choice, right? It's probably in order of like games you should play. It's probably up there. It's not my favorite, but it's probably up there.
Yeah, definitely within the top 3 best Final Fantasies.
Yeah.
People are going to have feelings on this one. And I want to know whether or not their feelings is based on like nostalgic factors, or if it's just like an overall good game in general. Yeah. It's a good JRPG, don't get me wrong, but like I just don't know if it's essential.
Yeah.
Essential for other
Final
people.
Fantasy is essential, right?
Yep.
One of like play 7, play 6, play 10. Some people love 12. I don't know who those people are. But like 9 was great. Yeah. I personally loved 8. I'm the one guy on the planet who did though. But play one of the Final Fantasies.
10 made me cry. 10 made me cried so much when I found out like things were people were going apart, and I was just like, I can't believe this.
10 was incredible. It was one of my favorite. I mean, it's my favorite Final Fantasy.
For sure.
I've already talked about that. Click.
GoldenEye as number 4.
Okay, so there's no way these are in order. There's no way the GoldenEye is number 4.
No way. I don't even know how I feel about GoldenEye being an essential video game. I really don't.
Here's the thing. Was it influential in its time? Yes. Was it a ton of fun to play slappers only? Yes. Was it cheese if you picked Odd Job? Yes. But the only reason it was cheese if you picked Odd Job was because of how hard it was to move your gun up and down in this game, right?
Yeah.
So this would not make my list. This would definitely not be over Halo.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So
GoldenEye for its multiplayer, maybe?
But back in the day, yes. I've played GoldenEye on an N64 like 4 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like I've done it recently. It does not hold up.
No.
I
played in college and it does not hold up. But it was fun to play with friends.
And so many other multiplayer games of that era do hold up. You want to play like Mario Kart 64? Like that still slaps.
It's true.
GoldenEye does not hold up.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I would put this in my essential video games.
It would not be in mine.
It just, nowadays, if you were to play it blind, it just would be so wonky. Even the remake of it on the Switch is wonky as hell. Like you have to literally change the control configuration to like make it seem more modern.
Yep.
It's too much work.
Yep.
Oh, next. I'm over it. I would say no.
Same.
Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Yes. I have to say yes. Out of all of the other Elder Scroll games, like this one is, in my opinion, the best. Like I loved Morrowind. I thought it was good. Oblivion was also good, but like Skyrim really kind of like, there was so much fucking shit to do in Skyrim. Like there was just so much to do, and it was fun to figure out like all the different like little side quests and eating a whole bunch of cheese before you go into a fight or eating cheese like while you're fighting things. Mid-fight.
You get like thrown by a dragon and you're like stuffing cheese wheels into your face as you're falling.
Right, in midair. The memes behind Skyrim is still good. Like I think about loading up Skyrim every year and going, I want to play this game again.
Yeah. And the great thing about Skyrim is you can play it on whatever you want. If you have an Amazon Alexa, there's a Skyrim for it.
Like, a smart refrigerator, you could probably play it on your fridge.
Seriously, it's ridiculous. My only criticism of this game is one of the DLCs is like turns it into like a crafting game where you can like build your house and all of that. And it's too much. It's just like too much to do inside Skyrim, where it's like, oh no, now I'm like, I built a house in the middle of the woods that I have to remember is there. Like it's too much.
But Dale, I love that part of the game. That's because like I love Sims. I love just like home building, city building. Like, so that to me was just icing on the top of what Skyrim already was. Like if you like that type of thing, like that DLC is totally for you. If you are not a crafter, if you are not a person that loves to build shit, like I would skip it entirely for sure.
Yeah, when I bought Skyrim, I bought the Game of the Year edition, and so it was just in it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, all right, well, the game's letting me pick up all this wood. I guess wood must be important. And then I'm like going into a dungeon with like a backpack full of wood and I can't like pick up a sword. Yeah. And it's like, why do I have all this wood?
Oh, man. Skyrim for sure essential.
Yeah, I agree.
Even for the memes. Do it for the memes.
I do think it's funny that in the article it says almost no two plays of Skyrim will have the same experience.
It's a lie.
Whereas it's all stealth archers. It's stealth archers all the way down.
I mean, you could play in a different way, but you end up just finding yourself going, oh, this is the easiest way to play it.
Yeah.
That's so right.
Yeah. All right. Click.
Yeah, we have to click.
Nope.
I can't talk about it anymore. I'd be gushing for too long.
Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
I think that we've talked about this before, about how, yes, it's a great game, but it just does not hold up. Just doesn't.
Not my favorite Zelda. Not my favorite 3D Zelda. It's a good game. And
True.
if you were like 12 and this just came out, yes, you should play this, right? But no one is 12 and this just came out, because this has been out for a grillion years and games have evolved past what this game is.
I think that nowadays, if you were going to play a Zelda game, like just play Breath of the Wild. Just do it.
Honestly, unpopular opinion, play A Link to the Past, then play Breath of the Wild.
Interesting. Why is that?
Because you should play one of the 2D Zeldas, and if you're going to play one, you should play the best 2D Zelda.
That's
and
fair.
Then you should move to a 3D Zelda, and the best 3D Zelda is Breath of the Wild.
Okay, I can see that.
It's
two games that essentially you should play.
Yes. But there's such different games.
They're
as
very,
well.
very different.
Despite sharing a name, they're like very different.
And there's a reason why, like, you should play both of these games. One for the 2D aspect. Like, if you want to call yourself a gamer, like, this is probably, like, I think Link to the Past is probably a game that you just have to play.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time, like, it's a good game, but it's not, in my book, essential.
No, not at all.
This is number 2.
Number 2. I wonder what number 1 is.
Let's find out. Click. Grand Theft Auto 3. This is number 1.
Huh.
This is essential.
Huh.
I've never played 3. I'm not gonna lie.
I played a lot of 3. I played so much 3.
Is 3 the one where you have to go pick up the packages around town? Like, I mean, there's like hidden packages that you have to like go in.
That's in like all of them. But 3 was like the first 3D Grand Theft Auto. It was 3 and then Vice City and then 4 and everything after 4. Right. 3 was good. It was really good. And we're talking like influential games, holy shit, was Grand Theft Auto 3 influential. Like, it was crazy how you can, if you're playing games from around this era, you can tell if a game was made before Grand Theft Auto 3 and after Grand Theft Auto 3.
I can see that. Yeah. I don't know if I would make 3 an essential game. Like, I think maybe Vice City for me would have been on this list and not 3. Because it just takes what 3 is and elaborates on it more. And it has like this really interesting like gang system as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where you do tasks for different gangs and gang reputation. Like, I just don't know if I would go back and play 3.
Yeah, I really liked Vice City as well. I think Vice City was a better game than 3. Is Vice City the best Grand Theft Auto?
No.
So which one do you think is?
I really do like Vice City, and I think about playing this, like trying to figure out how to play that game over again. But I'm always drawn to 5 because it's more modern, and like just the storytelling of like the characters itself was interesting for me. And like more specifically, Trevor in 5 was the one that made me go, holy shit, this is great story writing. Like, I had feelings for him because he made me feel so uncomfortable playing him as a character. And no other game has really made me feel that uncomfortable. But I think it's still going to be Vice City for me. Like, Vice City is going to be like my Grand Theft Auto game. Like, if you're going to play one, Vice City is going to be it.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think Vice City was amazing. I think the fact that it was set in the 80s and they were able to do so much with that
music
was perfect. I you talked about the expanded gameplay. I agree wholeheartedly. I think for me the essential one is Vice City, and honestly, it would probably be on my bucket list of games that you should play.
I would agree.
It wouldn't be my number one, but I think it would be on there.
I want to go play Vice City now. Let's go figure out how to play this game. Let's go buy a PS2.
Oh man.
Right?
Cool. So that's the list. We got through it. My first question is, was there anything that you were like, why was this not on there?
I have to go back through the whole entire list again to like remember some of them, but like I'm surprised that like Shadow of the Colossus wasn't on there. Like everybody talks about how great that game is in general. As being an essential video game that you must play before you die, like man, I mean, like there's so many different genres of like essential video games. I feel like they picked like very influential games here, but like I don't know if they're like essential for you.
The thing that blows my mind, for me at least, is there was not a single Metroidvania on this list.
That's true.
There was not one.
I'm surprised that they picked StarCraft over Warcraft too. Because Warcraft itself is like, it had a really good story as well. And it kind of like blew into like a whole series of different games, like World of Warcraft. Like it's all based on the original Warcraft.
It is, but I think that StarCraft is a much better Warcraft. And so that to me makes sense why they picked that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Realistically, what this list feels like after having gone through all of it is like, what were Adam Cleary's favorite games as a kid?
It's true. Yeah. These are essentials to my lifetime.
There's nothing like from the NES era, and there's nothing from like the most recent, like Last of Us, I think is the most recent game on this list.
Yeah. And I think they just did that because there was hype around Last of Us. But they knew that they were going to be making a TV show out of it.
Yeah. Wait, no, Mario Kart 8 is the most recent game on this list. But only because it's been released on, 3 systems at this point?
Right.
So, I don't know. I think there's been some bangers outside of this. There's no Souls-likes.
I was going to say there's no Souls games, which is surprising. Yeah. Again, I don't know if that's like a essential game either. Because if you don't like Soul-like game, then it's just kind of like, why would you want to play any of them?
Yeah. There's very few like indie games on this list also.
Yeah.
Like
Mass Effect's not even on this list?
Mass Effect's not on this list. Undertale isn't on this list. Like there's a bunch of games that there's no like Sims, anything on it. Yeah. There's none of that, right?
Right.
And so, and there's like a bunch of these like Grand Theft Auto, lore, like Skyrim, like open world, like adventure games. And don't get me wrong, like some of them are incredible, right? Like everyone should play Half-Life. Everyone should play Fallout. Yeah. But like there's so many of those on this list that I feel like it's just skewed. I don't know. All right, so we got one last question, and it turns out that this one is sponsored by Schadenfreude, which is the concept of gaining joy from seeing other people's misery. And Schadenfreude has asked us, if you could force everyone on Earth to beat one game before they die, which game would it be? And I'm going to go first here because I think it should be Golden Sun. It's one of my favorite games, and I'm going to spoil Golden Sun for you all. I'm sorry. So if you don't want to hear it, just skip to when Mel starts talking. But Golden Sun is a game where you do all of this good throughout the game, and the whole time you're like, you have to do this, and you have to do this, and you have to do this, and you're fighting against this other party of people who are like trying to do evil. And then at the end, you realize, wait, no, this whole time you've been the one doing evil.
Whoa.
You have been tricked. You are doing the bad thing that is going to bring about the end of the world. And this other party that you've been fighting against is actually the good guys. And then you play as the good guys in Golden Sun too.
Interesting. I've never heard of this game before.
It's so good, right? And so the idea that your intentions can be good, but that you find out that you're a bad guy is a lesson that everyone should have to learn.
Yeah.
And preferably you should do that without it being in real life, right? all of the best villains think they're the heroes, and Golden Sun exemplifies that perfectly.
What system is this on?
Game Boy Advance.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. I'm gonna have to play this game. That sounds so interesting.
So good. It's so good.
Huh. All right. I see your Golden Sun, and I will raise you to getting over it. Because fuck everybody. Everybody has to play this game, and it's really going to test whether or not you can persevere and separates the men from the babies. Fun fact, I've like played like some of getting over it, and I remember this really like testing my patience and testing my willpower. And I think that everybody should be tested in that manner. And if you can do it, then good for you. You have to do it before you die. You would live forever.
Oh man, that is amazing.
Yeah, I would make everybody play getting over it. Because fuck, that game is hard.
If you don't know, the full game is called Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. Bennett Foddy designed and published the game himself, and he also did all of the narration. And the description of the game is a game I made for a certain kind of person to hurt them.
Oh, it's like the most frustrating game ever, because the whole concept is that like you have a sledgehammer and you're like in a bucket, and you have to like use the sledgehammer to like launch you onto like another platform, and the whole point is to like get like on top of this mountain. But there's like so many weird like treacherous like slopes and like jumping patterns that you have to do that like sometimes you reach like a certain height, you fuck up like just a small little fuck up, and next thing you know you're back down to where you started. And
there's no death.
There's no death.
It literally is just like you start over.
Yes, you start all over again.
You fall you watch your character in the pot just fall.
Yep. Hours of hard work just gone. And then what's his name again?
Bennett Foddy.
Bennett Foddy is just like narrating things about how like failure is okay.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
It's absolutely insanity. And the fact that you chose this, I mean, it shows that you're the bad guy and that you've been the bad guy all along. I love it. I absolutely love it. Bucket lists, man. If you've got an opinion about bucket lists, and I guarantee you do, there's a game that wasn't listed, please tell us in the Discord or hit us up on Twitter or that sort of thing. Speaking of that, Mel, tell the people where you can be found.
Ooh, easy. You can find me as Melephant on Twitch, Twitter, and on the Discord, which I would love for you to join and like be a part of, so we can like get to know you as a listener and hear like your opinions on whether or not we are fucking wrong.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that we are. I'm a 20-sided ninja on Twitch, Twitter, and Discord as well. Now, here's my question. On the essential people to know before you die list, is there anybody that should not be on there?
Yeah, because I will say there's one person, and it's Dan. Fuck him.
That's the meanest one yet. That's the meanest. Dan, I feel bad about it.
I say it with such love.
I feel bad about that one, Dan, but seriously, fuck you. All right, say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. If you're listening, thanks for listening. Have a super okay day. Bye.